Over to Tiago Almeida, who's the CEO of iGamingServices.com.
Next one is you.
And he'll be presenting on affiliation in Latin America. Okay, over to you, Tiago.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Stefan. So, thank you all for coming. As an heads up, I would just like to add a small note saying I'm replacing a dear friend here, that is Monica. But I promise to be so nice as Monica usually is and provide useful insights. So the subject I am introducing here today is affiliation opportunities in Latin America. Okay. As probably you are aware, Latin America is a very interesting market, it's a very interesting geography, and this is the subject of my presentation today. So, in order to start my presentation, I would like just to give a small overview of what I've been doing and what my company is doing in Latin American markets. So we are e-gaming services, and we are based in Portugal with offices in Brazil, Uruguay, Chile, and Malta. So basically where the traffic and where the operation actually is. We offer gaming operators a turnkey solution where basically we can monetize the traffic from this market and also manage the operation. So we manage the operation on behalf of the operators, providing them the cultural insights and the time zone and also all the factors that are important when we are managing an online gaming operation. Our price model, very important. As affiliates, we are based on performance and we're basing on success. So very briefly, I would like to introduce to you the opportunities in Latin America, the demographics of Latin America, because I've been here in Berlin since IAG, and I understand everybody is talking about Latin America. Latin America is interesting as a market. Should we invest in Latin America? Should I be present in Latin America? How can I monetize the opportunity in Latin America? And I understand probably more people should be discussing Latin America as an interest jurisdiction for our business. The demographics are there, and this is exactly what I'll try to show. So what we have a GDP of 5.2 trillion euros in 2016, ahead of Africa, ahead of Oceania, ahead of Australia, right? And why this is important? Because it's a very interesting indicator of economy, of course, but also about the potential of the region. We are talking about economies that have, I would say, some bumps in the recent past, but they are now prepared to grow. We're talking about countries as Brazil, we're talking about countries as Chile, countries as Peru, countries as Colombia, also countries as Mexico, where economy is stable. People have a disposable income that is actually growing year after year, and this is a very interesting indicator for gaming opportunities. Okay, so as you can see here, the GDP per capita is around $9,000 a year. Okay, so the total population is 596 million in 2010, and growth to 637 million in 2016. What does this mean, people? It means that it's one of the last regions in the world where people are actually making babies. And this is very interesting for gaming operators because we understand this is one of the last geographies in the world where in 20 years we'll have potential players, potential people who are willing to place a bet in sportsbook, or people that are willing to place a bet in casino or in a lotto product. Very important, 50% of this audience are men. It's important. The average age is around 30 years old, and 51% of this population is between 20 and 49 years old. Demographics are always a bit discussable when we're talking about online gaming, but in my opinion, this is a very suitable audience. Life expectation, as you can see, it is more related, or is getting closer to what we have in the European markets. So 73 years old for males and 79 for females, versus the 75 we have for males and 81 we have for females here in Europe. The worldwide average, just to give you an understanding, it's 70 for males and 74 for females. So we are slightly above of the world average. Let's talk a bit about internet insights. And before I actually present some data about internet insights, I'd like just for you people to raise your hands if you are affiliates. Who is an affiliate here? Okay. Now please keep your hand up if you are an affiliate promoting a Latin America brand, or if you are promoting your business in Latin America. 1 people, 2, 3. Very interesting. Okay, so we'll probably exchange some insights in the end of my presentation. So what we have 3 top countries that are Brazil, and Brazil, very important, it is a continent inside the continent. We have Mexico and we have Argentina that have a total of 120 people buying online. So these are people with a computer or with a mobile phone, and mobile is very important in Latin America as it is, for instance, in Africa. They have disposable income, they have a way of purchasing online, maybe not credit cards, and I will approach that a bit later, but they have a bank account, or they have someone that is close, a location, a physical location where they can go, they can place a deposit, as for instance, boleto bancário in Brazil, that is a very important and popular way of deposits. This number of 120 million people should actually grow to 173 million in 2021. So yes, as I have been hearing during these last days here in Berlin, it's a market with lots of potential. I agree, but it's potential that requires a bit of investment of affiliates, of super affiliates, of media companies, because in my personal opinion, and also the business intelligence that we've been collecting through the years, tell us that less of 10% of the potential of these markets is filled so far. People still don't know how to place a bet. But let's discuss that a bit later. Very interesting. Half of the population of the US. So we have potential here. And the average spent per year is 275 USDs. It's not a lot, but the number is supposed to grow. The internet penetration will reach 65% in 2021. Very important, Latin Americans spend more than 18 hours online monthly, okay? Let me just give you a personal insight about Brazil, and because the numbers that I'm showing are the numbers for the 3 top countries. Brazil is one of the countries in the world where, for instance, people spend most time, more hours in Facebook, more hours in social media. So they are already in an environment that is very friendly to do a purchase, to do a registration, to do a deposit. And we all know these are geographies where sports are extremely popular, right? Payments. Okay, and payments is very, very interesting because it's the #1 question that, as a consultant that I am, people ask when we are talking about Latin America. What payment methods should I integrate? I have this payment method, does it work? Or why credit card doesn't work in some countries in Latin America? So let's approach that. Cash is still king. 40% of the internet transactions and gaming transactions in these 3 top countries are being done this way. So what people do, they go to their bank or they go to their corner shop and they facilitate a service where people can deliver cash, and that cash, through different aggregators that are in place in Latin America and different PSPs, they go to their gaming accounts. So this requires, in terms of marketing, in terms of communication, very close approach in terms of content. This is very important for affiliates. This is one of the most popular keywords in Google when people are trying to understand how they can complete their transaction into a certain sportsbook or in certain casino brands. Okay. Brazil has 87 million active credit cards. This is nearly half of the population of Brazil. But from these, only 21% are international. And why international credit cards and national credit cards? This is the way how the credit card system is organized in Brazil. Banks are not very keen to the idea of having one of their customers to purchase something international. The Brazilian market is very protective, so they block this sort of transactions. So if I am a user and if I have a credit card in Brazil of 5,000 with a 5,000 euros balance, or sorry, 15,000 Brazilian reais balance, my bank won't allow me to do a purchase into an international merchant. This is impossible. So what do I need in order to have an international credit card? I need to be a very good client of the bank. I need to be very wealthy. I need to have a very close relationship with my bank manager. I need to ask. I need to personally go to the bank, spend 2-3 hours waiting in the queue, fill a bunch of forms, present documentation, present income statements, and asking, please, can you please give me an international credit card because I want to purchase something from eBay, or I want to purchase something from an e-commerce shop, okay? According to our research from the international credit cards, and they are 21% of the total, only 2% will allow by default, a payment into an online gaming site. Again, banks don't like online gaming, they never did. In Brazil, this is even more restrictive. So this is the reason why companies like AstroPay in Brazil, SafetyPay in the Spanish countries of Latin America, they are so successful. They aggregate the most popular banks. Okay, they present an option where the user can actually deposit. He is presented with bank account details. He deposits into that bank account details, and AstroPay or the aggregator, SafetyPay, is responsible to manage this entire infrastructure, and funds will then, in a few minutes or hours, depending on the bank, they will be transferred to the gaming account. It's a process. It's been working very well, it's very successful, and allows traffic to be converted. And what do we have also? We have boleto bancário. Boleto bancário is the most traditional payment method in Brazil. It is responsible for more than 80% of online payments in Brazil, generally wise. But it has a very, very big problem. Deposits made with boleto bancário, they take 2 to 5 business days to be credited. This is a challenge for gaming operators. This is a challenge to affiliates because you will work hard in order to send traffic to brands, and then the brands won't have the right tools to monetize that traffic because they only offer boleto bancário. So when someone approaches you saying, oh, I have boleto bancário, it could be an advantage, but actually it is not, because players will get frustrated of waiting. They will probably deposit one time, but they won't deposit a second, okay? So, size of the opportunity. This is also something that I would like to share with you guys. What we have a forecast, and official numbers, as you know, they are always a bit complicated to understand because they don't exist. Companies operating in Latin America, most of them, they are private companies, so they don't share financial results, they don't share the numbers they are doing in Brazil. But according to some data we can cross, these are the numbers we have. We have a GGR around 380 million USDs per year in sportsbook and casino in 2015. The number is growing because still only a very portion of people are active sportsbook and casino players in Brazil. We have Colombia as number 2 market with 82 million USDs. We have Mexico with 51 million USDs in sportsbook GGR and casino GGR. We have Chile with 32 million USDs of GGR in sportsbook and casino. Just a very important notice about, very important remark, very short remark about Chile. Chile is a market where all the problems I just described about payments, they don't exist. if I have a credit card in Chile, it is an international credit card. My bank should allow me to deposit into an online sportsbook or an online casino brand. It is a small market compared with all these big boys that I just described, Brazil, Peru, Colombia, but it's a very effective market in terms of transaction. It is a very interesting market in terms of player value. I usually compare Chile with the Portuguese market, where I'm originally from, although I spend most half of my time in Brazil. But it's a very interesting market in terms of value. And then I leave to last Argentina with a value around 19 million USDs in casino and sportsbook GGR. Why I leave casino to last? Because operators, international operators, are usually not very interested in pushing their brands, in promoting their brands actively in Argentina because of the banking situation, of the transaction situation, of the exchange situation that is problematic in Argentina. It's very difficult to take money out. Okay. Most popular brands, usually people ask me this: what brand should I convert in Brazil? What brand should I convert in these countries? This is a thought that is always subjective. Okay, this comes from our understanding. Our reports tell us these are the brands that are investing and converting better, but obviously there are brands we don't know. There are brands that have started more recently. Okay, so who do we have in Brazil? We have Sportingbet, and Sportingbet was actually the first international brand that went to Brazil to heavily invest. Before there were some local brands as Betbull. Betbull was acquired by the GVC. And also Betmotion, also a local brand from Brazil. But Sportingbet was actually the first international brand that said, let's create an operation near Brazil. They are actually based in Uruguay, in Montevideo. And let's acquire players from the Brazilian market. Let's invest. Just to give you an idea, Sportingbet is today investing heavily in TV. TV is a possibility in Brazil. All the major brands, all the brands that I'm describing here, they are doing TV very actively in Brazil. And Sportingbet was the first. So they have spent many years, many millions of pounds educating the players. So players are educated in a sense, they are already aware what Sportingbet is. They might not have done a sports betting yet, or they might have not registered for a casino account yet, but they are aware of what it is Sportingbet as a brand. We have 10Bet. 10Bet is also investing actively in the Brazilian markets. We have PremioWin, it's actually a new brand, also powered by SPTech. And we have BoomBet. BoomBet is a brand that is now with a new attitude and a new perspective in the Brazilian market. They are doing very interesting things with affiliates, like paying GGR in advance. They are paying commission through GGR in advance. And this is something that is getting popular in Brazil because, guys, there are not enough affiliates promoting brands in Brazil. Okay. So what we have in Chile, we have Bet365, we have Sportingbet, and we have BetCris. In Mexico, we have GanaBet, Caliente Group, and BoomBet. In Peru, we have Incabet, which is a local brand from Peru. We have Intralot with Te Apuesto, and we have Bulldog, very promoting also very actively in Peru. In Colombia, situation in Colombia is now a bit special because Colombia finally issued their first online gaming license to a brand that the name is Double Play. So they are licensed in the Colombian market, they are active and they are investing. The same thing with Con Apuestas. They are also doing these efforts in the Colombian market. This is very recent. Brands that just started, brands that are looking to acquire players. The database is pretty much empty, so this is the opportunity for affiliates willing to invest, willing to acquire traffic in these markets. The opportunity is there. And then we have Bet365 that a few weeks ago was still accepting traffic from Colombia. So, top sources of traffic, that's probably your question by now. How can I get traffic? Should I write content? Should I trust on the SEO effort? Should I invest something in PPC campaigns? Let's see. So Facebook had 140 million unique visitors in these Latin American countries I've just described. We have Instagram with 600 million active users. 33% of those came from Latin America. And the Google sites have 171 unique visitors. So this creates some opportunities where it's possible, when it's possible, to push and to promote brands within Google network. Okay? Very fast, let's just talk a bit about social media because of their popularity in Latin America. In 2015, desktop and PC internet users spent more of their online time on social media sites than anywhere else in the world. People love social media in Latin America. We all love, but it started a bit later here in this country, so people are very keen to use it. They share, they look for recommendations, they ask for recommendations. And if you go to certain gaming groups in Latin America, in Brazil, or in Chile, or in Peru, people ask for recommendations. Do you know any site that is trustable? This is the most popular question. Am I going to be paid? And you see the comment boxes with people interacting with each other. Look, I am playing with 10bet, or I am playing with BetMotion. Yes, they are trustable. Okay. So for affiliates, this is the opportunity. We should aim affiliates to create social media pages, Facebook profiles, where you or someone that you have in your team can actually push this sort of trust. Trust is still king in this market. So 73% of these users in social media, they read comments about brands, and 62% admit these comments influence their purchase decisions. We just need to transport these numbers to gaming. Again, Brazilians spend more time on the internet per day than residents in any other country in the world. Just in small note about Chile, it is estimated that 425 smartphones will be sold every hour. So these are countries that are betting, they are moving into the direction of the internet, into the direction of mobile devices. And this opens many opportunities for you affiliates. Why affiliates should invest? Local regulations presents Latin here in Europe, and I was just watching this panel before me, and you heard the ones that were here, heard many things about UK, how it is difficult to push brands in UK, to promote brands in UK, the problems brands are having with responsible gaming. Just to give you an idea, most of the brands in Latin America today, they have licenses from Curaçao. They have licenses from Malta. So it's different moments, okay? Competition is still small. Super affiliates like Catena Media that is here, they are still not actively selling traffic from Latin America. They are still not interested in doing it because they also don't have it. Player recruitment potential is high because the number of tagged accounts in these operators is still small. And the top local affiliates are still promoting still pursuing very primitive sources of affiliation, e-commerce, AdSense, so there is still a lot of potential. And the average CPA, very important, in Latin America, in all these markets that I just described, as an average, is 135 euros, okay? Where to start? This is my personal suggestion. You probably have this idea of, okay, the market might be interesting. Where should I start? My opinion should be content. All of you already have a few sites that are probably promoting content in English or in any of the other languages where you are strong. Create a Portuguese and Spanish version. Organically, if you have good ranking in Google, you'll see traffic coming in. You will see opportunities coming in. People will register for newsletters. Push this button, push these opportunities, and we will see social media, as I was talking, the opportunities in social media, in Facebook and in Instagram, are extremely high. You have pages in Brazil, pages in Peru, pages in Colombia, with 300,000 followers, just because the subject is this, sports betting, casino. And this is a subject that is, unfortunately, still taboo. People still look for questions that we Europeans consider as being a bit primitive. And this is my advice to all affiliates here. Create content and results will come. Any questions?
Have to be quick because we'll run over because we'll time to get Tiago set up. David, we have one there quickly. Let's just do that one and then have to move on. I'm sure you can catch Tiago at the end if you've got any extra questions.
I'll be more than happy to share some thoughts with everyone.
Okay, so my first question is, what do you think about languages? I mean, there is a Spanish language, but do we need to make a separate site for each country? And can we use Spanish for Spain website in whole Latin America, and also Portuguese for Brazil?
That is a very interesting question because most operators and also some affiliates, they do this mistake when they are treating Latin America as a market. They think Portuguese that is actually speaking in Brazil is not that different from Portuguese that is speaking in Portugal. And the same thing with Spanish, that Spanish in Europe is the same as Spanish in Latin America. It is, you can have a conversation, people will understand, but for the most important terms for conversion, as deposits, as withdrawal, as help, as these important words, they are totally different.
And across the countries, I mean, Argentina and Mexico, is it the same Spanish, or should we make separate sites?
In terms of content, I always advise affiliates and operators to treat content differently because it is differently, and to create separate sites. And whenever it's possible, to create local domains because that helps into the authority of the site.
And one really fast question. GGR ratio of casino and sportsbook for the Latin America?
It's a very complicated question. I will need more time than I have now, but if you have 10 minutes, I'll be more than happy to share some numbers with you. Okay?
Fantastic. Thanks, Tiago. He'll be hanging around for a few minutes afterwards to get some questions. I'd like to thank you for a fantastic presentation. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Right. Up next, we have Oren Abiri. He's doing marketing under MiFID. Just need a couple of minutes to get him set up.